I chose to participate in a Dominican family gathering with a traditional meal prepared. I observed that the gathering was very loud, but the volume wasn't the result of anger or hostility, just a normal speaking volume. They seemed to be a very close-knit family with the age range of the group from 4 to 48. The food was very different from a traditional meal my family would have prepared. I experienced a slight culture shock and slight uneasiness, considering it was an all-new environment with new people and food. During my interview with interviewee, we discussed his life and the choices that he made. Just from this one interview, I learned that he is 26, divorced, a former Navy personnel, a father to a 4-year-old girl, and his parents are divorced. When discussing some of these topics, he teared up and had to pause a few times. I gathered that he feels very strongly, is very responsible, but longs for companionship and to provide better for his family. He is very proud of his Dominican culture and is very quick to correct someone if they assume that he is a different type of Hispanic. Having strong family values is something that he really takes pride in. The only thing he really dislikes is the fact that his culture is mixed in a Hispanic category and not as its own division of that. He is the character of his group. He's always loud, laughing, and joking. He's outgoing, so making new friends and meeting new people is never a problem. He says his culture hasn't affected his career, except for being able to stick out for his outgoing personality and his determination for getting what needs to be done. He lives in Norfolk because he was stationed here when he was in the Navy, so his culture doesn't have any effect on where he's living now. Dominicans are very proud, very loud, but very loving people, and to remember that if ever having to counsel a member. When researching Dominican stereotypes, I found a hard time actually finding some, but one that I did find said that Dominicans are very profane and very sexual in the media. And one person commented on it and said, that's how the media portrays them, but if they were to act that way with their family or in public or anything, it would be highly frowned upon because it's not how you would act in a social situation. Despite being a Dominican male in a predominantly white male society, he said he hasn't felt very much sting from being different. One thing I found while doing my research was a book called Dominican Republic Culture Smart, The Essential Guide to Customs and Culture. One factor I thought would be good to keep in mind for counseling someone from this culture is that Dominicans will tell you what you want to hear because they don't want to ruin the interpersonal relationship you have with them. So it's best to answer questions without revealing what answer you hope to receive. A few more things I learned were that Dominicans are very warm, friendly, helpful, hospitable, and curious. When they ask you how you are, it's because they really want to know how you're doing, and will get offended if you say, "I'm fine," without further detail. They will be very forthright in asking questions, so prepare for lots of questions during counseling. And one quote I found to be particularly interesting was, "Foreigners might be surprised at how deep and how fast Dominicans go into emotional and private topics in conversation." For human service professionals, this will be very useful during the exploratory stage. One of the biggest things I noted during this project was how different my family was from my interviewee's family. I've always wanted a big, loving family, but I have a small family that only gathers a handful of times a year. The assumptions I had about this group was that they were going to be a very loving family and that I would feel on the outside because of it. Ultimately, I found that the first part was true, but the second part was the complete opposite. My interviewee's family welcomed me with open arms, asked me questions to get to know me, cooked an absolutely delicious meal, and even taught me some new dance styles. I view this culture in a whole new light now, and hope to meet more Dominican people in my life and to see how they express their culture. After spending time with this culture that I really knew nothing about, I'm really excited to expand that knowledge even further and go beyond just the Dominican culture and talk to people from other cultures just to see how they are, how their families are, how they communicate, and to just really get a better feel of different cultures that are out there that I have no idea how they are. This project really opened up my eyes to seeing that I do need to take the time to make those steps and meet those people because I'm missing a whole new experience. And if I am going to be a human service professional, Getting to know these different cultures and their customs and how they interact with one another is very important to understanding them and their decisions and their thought processes.